Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite podcast show, episode 146 of the podcast. Ken with me as always.
Getting up there fairly quickly.
Yeah, we're tipping on through the episodes, and it's kind of a bit of an international feel to our podcast this weekend.
Isn't there always?
Yeah, there is. We kind of stuck around Europe for this time. We've no actually stories in Ireland, but we've something in Austria. We've something in England. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, we England and Austria. That's Switzerland as well. So yeah, we've kind of branched out into just mainland Europe and England. So yeah, that's
fair enough.
Wherever the Shite Talk happens, the Shite Talk podcast show will follow, I think, is what our listeners should know, take from this.
Wherever the shite happens, we will follow.
Yeah, so we've, over the last few episodes, we've kind of got into giving a bit of a running order of the show. So our listeners can see all the stories that we've actually forgotten. So we might as well continue on this new tradition. So we'll be starting off talking about people starting off a new hobby during lockdown, and then we go into you probably heard this around on the radio or maybe on shows, talk shows or podcasts, but a guy suing a girl who kissed him while she had a cold sore for £130,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, then we have a double chin story. We have a sort of a sex story, but not a sex story. We'll get into it, kind of a story. Then we're going into police in Austria for fining a man for farting, as well as Switzerland for a guy forgetting something on a train that is kind of surprising. And then we also have a Donald Trump story and a Metallica story.
Yeah, so we've got all bases covered.
All bases are covered, really, today. Something for everyone, I think, realistically, on the show. We should get started off with the first story, I guess, which is, during lockdown, people are either reskilling, upskilling, or discovering a new hobby. Have you done any of these things, Ken, since the lockdown?
No, I've just been working.
Yeah, I guess you have a pretty good excuse. Life has not changed for you.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that everywhere that you might want to go is closed down.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's pretty much it. Everyone else is normal-ish for you. Well, I don't actually, I set out great intentions. I was going to learn animation. I was going to do all these things. I haven't got around to doing a whole lot, but my intentions were there. But
the road to hell is paved with good intentions, Mark.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm finding out that the hard way. Now, there are people who are a little bit more motivated than me that actually stick around and actually learn and upskill and reskill and find new hobbies like baking, like banana breads or cakes. Some people have taken their hand at garden. Well, in London, people have sort of got a little bit green-fingered as well, because more and more people, because of the lockdown, are growing their own weed at home. It seems like a suitable hobby to do, maybe a little bit high in your electricity bills, but a lot of people
a little bit high in your electricity bills.
Yeah, pun intended, I guess. Anyway, this newfound hobbies, basically why people are starting this is because they don't want to be around their drug dealers. They want to keep their circle of people that they interact with as low as possible. And so what people are doing are buying seeds online and growing their own weed. I thought that's a risky business, is buying your own seeds. But this was a story from Vice, and this is like a stereotypical Vice story. This is like what you imagine Vice stories would be. They've gone very righteous in the last while, so it was nice to see them get back to their kind of old Vice ways as such. It was a welcome change. But anyway, they go around and they interview people around London about who are growing their own weed at home and just ask them why they're growing their own weed and how difficult it is. So one of the guys actually that they were talking to was saying that he actually bought his weed online on a store that was in off Amsterdam shop online, and they basically arrived in about a week later, which is like a lot quicker than most people who buy barbells and gym equipment in Ireland. Like this guy can get weed seeds delivered to his house from Amsterdam within a week, and people are waiting like 3 weeks to get their favorite resistant band. So that's pretty good going by the Amsterdam shop, and I guess the UK postal service. I don't know if they're known. They're given such for probably something that's very very illegal in England.
They're very good at it.
Well, they're very good, very very quick at getting people's illegal seeds to them. Anyway, these they've actually managed in Amsterdam. They've managed to grow a new type of weed that specializes. It's called autoflower, and it basically means you don't need as Jamaican temperatures to grow weed anymore. That you can make them in fairly shite conditions, like in London or Ireland. This new,
Very shite conditions.
yeah, this new weed seed can basically grow in kind of wet, damp climates. It just needs a little bit of fresh air and light, and it'll grow pretty well. So like people are actually not even getting up their electricity bills too high in order to grow their weed, and they're getting I think they were for a €10 bag of weed seeds. They were able to get an ounce of weed out of it, which is a pretty good return.
Yeah.
Like I don't buy weed, so I think an ounce would be €50 ish, something like that, would it?
Fuck if I know.
I don't know. Wrong people to ask. Anyway, we're good boys. Anyway, but he was able to get an ounce of weed for basically €10, which I know it definitely isn't €10 for an ounce of weed.
Yeah,
Uh,
I doubt that it would be €10.
he goes in to say that like he the reason why he what he found is basically just want to make kind of like brownies or cookies. All he wanted really to make is just enough to sustain himself, and that he finds it very kind of therapeutic. The enjoyment comes from, like most people who start gardening, it comes from watching it grow rather than anything else. There's a few other people, but they managed to do a survey on basically around, I think around Europe, that said the asking people like what drugs are they taking during lockdown, what are their drug habits, and not surprisingly there's three main ones. Well, I'm kind of surprised with one of them. Like,
Three main ones.
yeah, the three main drugs that people are taking are cannabis, cocaine, and alcohol. The big three, really.
Cocaine kind of surprising.
Yeah, cocaine's kind of surprised me. It doesn't seem like something that like you're stuck in your house during lockdown. And you're like, oh, you do a line of coke just to pass the time.
Yeah, it's just for the crack, like.
Because like they also asked why people were taking these drugs, and a lot of people were taking them to pass the time. Now, cocaine doesn't seem like it would pass the time.
Well, it might do.
Yeah, I guess if you take enough of it. Yeah, but it seems like you imagine that you want to like mellow out to pass the time. Taking a line of cocaine definitely won't do that.
No.
But yeah, the big trade alcohol. Well, I think a lot of people are just drinking over Zoom or with their dinner or with their breakfast or since they're working from home.
Their Zoom
Their lunch.
quizzes become alcoholic.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not surprised with people drinking, if not the same amount, maybe a little bit more. I don't
I
know.
wouldn't like. I'd say people are just drinking more at home. I wouldn't say people are drinking more in general.
No, like
Say the people like that are saying, "Oh, I'm drinking so much since this started." They're probably people that used to go and drink in the pub at the weekend anyway.
yeah, exactly. They're very used to drinking 5 or 6 pints a night anyway, and they feel like they're having 3 beers at home. They're like, oh my god, I'm such an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But like, I think Ireland there's a slight little stigma around like drinking at home. I think you're gonna look down on if you drink at home. You're like, oh my god, you alcoholic. Yeah, going out to a pub and getting smashed is just like, yeah, that's regular. You're just having a night out. Like, what's wrong with that? There's no problem. Why are you judging it? Let people live their best life.
You're only an alcoholic if you go to meetings.
Yeah, exactly. Even until you have it on a piece of paper, it doesn't really exist.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Doesn't really account. Yeah, but like, I'm not really surprised. People are starting to grow their own weed either. Like, if you were a recreational weed user and you can get seeds easy as just buying it online and waiting for it to come into the post, surely like you'd save yourself a fortune just growing it yourself. Especially with this newfound angled weed that you can grow in like a rainy condition.
Yeah,
Imagine grow houses all over the country with this new weed will be popping up.
it'd be everywhere.
Yeah, we could become Europe's biggest supplier of weed. Oh, a little bit of ambition and the right kind of people in power.
But unfortunately, I don't think the people that would be growing weed like would be, they'd probably be smoking a lot. Like, I don't think they'd be doing too much ambitious work.
Yeah, they're not ambitious worth to like get out there and hard protest and get lobbying in order to get the weed passed through. It is kind of outrageous. If you like ask, I'd say the majority of people in Ireland if they think like weed should be legalized, I'd say there is probably only a very slight majority of people who reckon like weed should be legalized, but there's still a majority in the country. So it seems like kind of very odd that it is still illegal. Like considering that like all the government really is a place where people agree on laws and it's stuff that they want their country run, like how they want their country represented. So as adults we're being told like, no, you can't put this into your body.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems kind of odd. Yeah, but that's what people are starting to do. I wonder if in Ireland if they did a similar survey, how many people are starting to grow their own weed. Considering that our postal service takes fucking forever to get anything to us, would probably mean that like it would be still probably unposted. The seeds will start to grow in unposted probably.
yeah. Everybody get arrested because they'd be delivering plants.
With that wet damp environment that's in unposted, just enough to feed the seeds start sprouting in by the time it gets to you.
The back of the van, like the postman would be arrested.
Yeah, well, one of the other things said this is also this newfangled weed is also odorless, so you won't really even smell it if it was on you or if it's growing in your house. So someone comes into your house and just sees loads of plants beside it, then unless they look probably closely enough, they're not going to know that it's a hash plant or a wheat plant.
Yeah,
So that's pretty good. So we'll go on to the personal training story now. This is of
yeah.
a guy who went on a date and ended up suing the date for 130,000, or trying to sue the date for 130,000. So I'm not going to say his name because we're going to pretty much berate the guy as we go through this. So it's better off we not name him personally. If he's suing a girl over kissing him, he's probably in the likelihood to sue anybody.
Over anything.
Yeah, so allegedly what he
Jokes on him though, we've no money.
yeah, exactly. Well, I wouldn't say your one mightn't have too much money either. 130,000 is a lot of money. Who does he think he was on the date with? So he's a personal trainer who basically contracted a cold sore after kissing a woman while on a date. He claims that she asked him to go on a date, basically lured him into a false sense of security and was negligent in not disclosing that she had a cold sore and actually even tried to hide it by using makeup in order to cover it up.
Like that's just nonsense.
Yeah, so apparently, like after the passionate kiss, um, basically the makeup went away and to reveal what was on her face. So after he said after sharing the kiss that basically she could see that she had clearly had a cold sore, and he had no knowledge of this before kissing her, and never been infected with this, so didn't really know what was about to happen to him until after I did. Now, I think aren't the cold sores like a form of herpes or something like that?
Yeah, cold sore is herpes virus. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it is with you for life or something like that. Like
but
you'll constantly get cold sores, but it'll come and go. There is like they're not like they're not a huge deal.
like cold sores, yeah, they're not really that too big of a deal. Like if she gave him a cold sore, who gives a fuck?
Oh well, it got worse than that. So within 2 days, he started experiencing flu-like symptoms, and within a week, he
He was dead.
yeah, he's sitting from the grave. Yeah, he began to develop and spread in his mouth, and this caused him extremely distress. After that, a few days after that, he started having panic attacks and actually collapsed and had to have an ambulance called. He was taken to St. Mary's Hospital in an ambulance. So
Yeah, maybe there's something more seriously wrong with him than a cold sore.
yeah, that's what you imagine. Imagine after getting a coleslaw brought on a panic attack.
Yeah, like that doesn't seem very.
Yeah, so after suffering his panic attack, he basically wants justice for basically what your one did to him, and decided that he would take legal action against her. She obviously she denies any wrongdoing in this, and denies his versions of events. I think she claims that she wasn't the one that asked him on the date. It was probably either mutual or him, and she also claims that I think he may have went in for the kiss. There are allegations even there. But like, what is really really odd about this story isn't the fact like him deciding to like sue over a coleslaw. He's a bit soft already. But basically, uh, what is it? Some of these symptoms of getting this, because he obviously works as a personal trainer, he's also studying law. So he said the illness affected his way to make a living, as well as his cognitive ability to study for the exam, and that's why
What?
that yeah, exactly. He says because he got apparently getting sick has cognitive repercussions, and being a personal trainer, obviously if you're suffering from a flu-like symptom, you shouldn't probably be working as a personal trainer. Anyway, he kind of breaks down why he wants £136,328 is the exact figure, and he basically says he wants £100,000 for fortnightly therapy sessions until he's 79. Ken,
Aren't he 79?
79.
How old is he now?
Imagine if he's a personal trainer, he looks like he's maybe mid-30s.
So he wants this shite for a good, what, every 2 weeks? Did you
No,
say fortnightly?
Yeah, fortnightly.
So he wants this every 2 weeks for the next
I
30 odd years.
I imagine that he's already going to a therapist. Now, he did say he did suffer from depression, and basically this thing was very stressing and could cause him to go back into depression, because if he's having a panic attack, like if you get a cold sore and you have a panic attack, there's something like deeper
Yeah, there's
sedimented.
something wrong with you.
Yeah, there's something slightly off about you.
Like, do we know this guy?
No, we don't.
like,
Like,
he sounds like somebody we might know.
yeah. I was going to go who. Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the rest of the payments are to cover earnings while he was ill. So apparently he missed out on £36,000 while he was ill, and income protection, as well as a retirement in case of further outbreaks.
Further outbreaks.
Yeah.
What sort of a pussy
He wants
is this?
£36,000 just to cover like loss of earnings, and he also wants to retire.
For fuck's sake, like, and he wants what? Fucking therapy every 2 weeks.
Yeah, therapy every 2 weeks. So I was kind of thinking, have you ever gotten ill after kissing a girl or after something?
No, not really.
Or I have two stories, right?
I've never even had a cold sore.
I don't think I've had a cold sore either. I have two stories. One, like, first of all, one's a lot worse than this, So one was about when I was in college. There was this guy who was both people were in college, but it's a guy that it happened to. Basically, they're both on the same course. It was like Freshers Week. They met wherever the fucking nightclub they were all meeting at for Freshers Week. They had a one night stand. The next morning, he woke up and she asked for money to pay for the pill that she had taken in order to not get pregnant. So she wanted him to cover that pill, that one pill.
For fuck's sake, how much did she ask him for?
However, she must have broke down what individual pill costs, and she wanted that. And basically, he refused to pay it, so she locked him in her room. To the point where I don't know how he got out. I don't know, but basically she locked him in a room until he paid it or whatever. He didn't have any money on him at the time. He was a student, and I don't know how he got out of the room. I didn't really follow up the story too well, but he locked. But I was just thinking that today when I was thinking over his story. But imagine if that was a girl. Imagine if that was the other way around.
Yeah.
Imagine if you used a condom. You're like, okay. That packet of common was 12 quid, so there's what 12 per pack or whatever. I want my euro for like these condoms. Anyway, he and demanding your money. I think
That would be hilarious.
that'd be hilarious. And no, and then locked her in his room. Guarantee if you done for rape, you probably got done for imprisoning. You're one, but like you're definitely going to jail.
Oh, you're 100% going to jail, but it would be fucking hilarious.
It'll be fucking really hilarious. Now I have gotten sick after kissing a girl. Now she got even worse sick, and I don't know if it was my fault or it was her fault. See, I had a cold and I was just over it, but I thought I was healthy, and then she ended up getting really badly sick. So I was lucky enough. She probably didn't sue me, but I nearly lost my voice. So I was blaming her for making me sick again.
I got sick on a girl.
Okay, since we're sharing, let's go into this. By any chance, is your now wife?
No.
Okay, so let's go into this.
There's not really much more to it.
Okay, so let's set the scene, Ken.
So, like, it was, I don't know, years ago. It was probably not too long out of school, and went to a Christmas party, and there's a girl I went to school with who was also at a Christmas party for where she worked, and was talking to her, and just got sick all over.
So you were just chatting away, obviously having a few drinks, and you felt like you're going to get sick.
Yeah, well, right. I was on my way to go to the toilet to get sick.
Yeah.
And like a guy that I work with was like, "Oh, there's this girl there that was like asking for you. She's looking for you." And I was like, "All right." So then I was like, "Yeah, I really need to get sick." So I gone to the Jacks and bumped into her on the way to the toilet. And she started talking to me, and I was kind of like, "Oh, it's rude now if I just go, oh wait, hang on till I go get sick and come back." So I was just like, I should be okay, but no, I just got sick.
I know a person, and I won't say who they are, but they were at a house party, and they were chatting away to these two people, and they it's really hard to not give any of the person away. They excused themselves, went behind a gazebo, got sick, came back to the conversation and just continue on the conversation as if nothing happened.
Was this you, Mark?
No, this wasn't me. I'd have no problem if it was me. I'd say so if it was me, but it wasn't someone else. But yeah, well, obviously I don't want to give them away on there. But I thought that was quite hilarious. They were kind of taken back. They're like, did you just get sick? Yeah. So anyway, where were we before that? Let's get back on track here. So yeah, that's how we got on from suing a person into me and Ken getting various different ways of getting sick.
Yeah.
Thing that might make some people sick is the sight of a double chin.
Yeah. Would it?
Yeah. I think it might. Some people are grossed out, but I don't know about sick. Maybe if they see it on their own face and they're eating, they're like, oh no. I don't know. People are weird. But there's now a way of actually removing double chin. So I'm going to let you take this. And this is one of the stories you've found.
Yeah, there's not really too much to this story either. Like it's just it's this contraption that you like put on your head, and they're calling it like a face bra.
I actually seen a picture of this online. Like it's kind of a weird look. It kind of. You remember in some certain cartoons, if someone had a like toothache for some reason, they wrapped
Yeah,
a towel around their face or around their
yeah,
head. Like
yeah. It's kind of like that.
it's kind of like that. It's kind of like a
Or,
bland.
or it's like if you put your t-shirt, you just put your face in like the neck hole of your t-shirt.
Yeah. Now, did it by any chance did the article say how long you have to leave this contraption on, or did you have to just leave it on permanently?
It
If
it probably did, but I didn't go into too much research with it.
all right.
Um, but like the company that make them have a lot of reviews. Like nearly all of the reviews are positive.
Oh yeah. So what are the views like then?
Like just people saying, yeah, it helped me like get rid of my double chin.
So I wonder like how it works. Is that like how it like stops the skin sagging down in order for a double chin?
I don't know because it just looks like a strap.
Yeah, exactly. I thought like maybe like you had to leave it on when you're going out in public. So instead of having a double chin, you have this face bra instead.
Like it is one of the most stupid looking things I've ever seen.
But like unless you're like severely overweight, the only time you really get a double chin is when you bring your chin down close to your chest.
Yeah.
And like there isn't too many situations where you're doing that too much. Is there?
No, not really. No.
Like surely like how necessary is this like invention instead of like, maybe looking at your diet?
Like, how do you even come up with something like that? Like, do you know what's going to make me a heap of money? I'm going to come up with this thing that I'm going to tell people is going to get rid of their double chin, and
Yeah,
it's going to just
you
a
you
fucking yoke.
you wonder how they thought of it. It doesn't seem like a logical thing to think up of that would actually work.
Yeah, but like I don't, and I'm wondering like, are the reviews real?
Probably not. Like
Like,
generally, have you ever when you see like a lot of reviews, if they're all positive, then they're all fake because like have you ever looked at reviews for like apartments on Airbnb
no.
or stuff like that? Anything that like people constantly like bagpackers love to complain and love to write reviews. If you're ever around a bagpacker, a person who's traveled around Southeast Asia, guaranteed they've left a review on something before in their life. Like I don't know who leaves reviews until I met bagpackers. Like I don't know who has the time, but backpackers love leaving reviews. Anyway, so if you ever look on Airbnb or TripAdvisor, anywhere you're going away, there's gonna be reviews, and some reviews are very helpful. Like I'm not criticizing them too much on reading reviews, but like there are these like stereotypical like reviews. Like everyone always says the apartment smells. Like I remember staying in one of the apartments, and they're like it smells. There was like weird furniture. It was like it was had like they had like all these really superficial like reasons why it was like really bad. And I stayed in and I was like, this place is grand. But then
Of
like
course you did.
this place doesn't smell. It smells nice. They have nice soap.
In fairness to some of the people that you would be rolling with, I'd
Yeah.
say your
Well,
like your sense of smell is probably dead.
yeah, but it could be actually that. But anyway, so like if they're all positive, I say what they're doing is they're getting people like either who work for them or maybe people who work for the company to leave reviews, and like that has to be unless there has to be at least one bad review,
Oh
or
yeah,
else they're all
like
fake.
people just make up fake profiles and shit. Like,
Yeah, it's way too easy. But yeah, that's the dream to like invent something that is very stupid and easy to mass produce and then make millions from it.
Oh yeah,
I can also think like the life of an app developer must be pretty sweet.
I'd say it's pretty annoying until you get like the kind of prototype for what your app is going to be. I'd say it's fucking annoying.
Yeah, but a little minimal bit of work and then a lot of raking in the rewards of the app development business. It's need an
Yeah,
app that people constantly use and reuse. They're probably
is this going to be the next thing that we branch out into?
app development. Yes, we'll talk about it off here. But I got ideas.
while quarantine's still going.
Yeah, we'll learn how to make apps and we'll come moderately rich.
The Shite Talk app.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to able to decipher if your friends are talking pure shite or in fact fact.
We'll just make Shite apps.
Yeah, yeah. We talked about something that maybe isn't that shite, but is still very, very surprising, and it is this NHS worker has revealed some of the more surprising things people have done while in her company. She has worked as a nurse, midwife, and health visitor in the H for well over 40 years and has now wrote a book in order to detail her experiences and some of the stories and characters that she met along the way. Yeah, that's a pretty good plug right there for her anyway. But like one of the stories in her new book is of this couple who were married who didn't know they needed to have sex in order to make babies.
Like what?
Yeah, now last week we had Ken's sex stories, and I said, Ken, you need more sex stories. This podcast needs Ken's sex stories, and we need to have a theme song. Ken let us down, so I picked up the ball of Ken's sex stories. This isn't really a sex story, but it is kind of a sex story. Involves sex and not having a guest. And anyway, she goes in to say that the couple genuinely didn't realize that they needed to have sex and believed that just by being married that they you naturally just get pregnant. And after several years of being married and not being pregnant, they were they went to the NHS for advice in how to like get magically pregnant.
Like what? They never have sex ever.
I imagine they didn't. Like,
Like so after several years of being married and what not going near each other.
not go near each other. Now, by the sounds of them, they're quite religious. So there could have
Yeah,
been no
but they're
sex
married.
no sex before marriage, and then they
Yeah,
just
but they had gotten married.
yeah. And this was several years. So you imagine that they're adults at this stage. They were isn't like they're young
Yeah,
teenagers.
imagine they're adults. I'd hope they were. I'd hope they weren't like children.
Children. I want baby. But,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but so like they didn't know. According to her, they genuinely didn't realize after being married for several years that they needed to have sex in order to have a baby, get pregnant. And yeah, so I was kind of like I was thinking about this a lot like today, like well, ever since I read the story. You know, like when you're talking to your friends, if you're trying to like, some people do have problems with getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Very different reasons why you mightn't be able to conceive. But were your friend? Yeah, me and Tom are are trying, and they're like, oh, really? Yeah, that we haven't for the last few years. And they're like, oh yeah, probably should go to NHS. They're like, oh, can they help? Yeah, there's loads of treatments. They didn't point out the fact that they haven't been having sex.
So what I've taken from this now, Mark, is that you and Tom are having a baby.
Me and Tom, yeah. Tom was just a fictional character made up in my mind. He's not a person.
He's multiple people.
He's multiple. He can be many people. Tom was just a name I picked out of the ether. Anyway, so basically what happened...
Yeah, like I don't understand that at all. Like, surely they knew what the fuck was going on.
According to your one, Rachel Henderson, who was the midwife, nurse, blah, 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 decorated nurse, she basically, they generally didn't have a clue. So what basically left her with the responsibility of teaching these people how to have sex
That's brilliant.
and going through the birds and the bees with adults. But she did say had a happy conclusion. He, she said by the end of it, they couldn't keep their hands off each other. Which kind of also made me think, like, how does did she know they couldn't keep their hands off each other? Like, which leads me to believe, in my own sick fantasy, is that there's a weird sex porn party going on over here, where she's like, "Oh, you don't know how," and she's like, kind of putting stuff on top of it.
It it's all very weird. Like,
Yeah,
that,
like,
that's
so
strange,
but
strange, strange.
imagine being a doctor and having to explain to two adults, go, like, by the time you came to the realization that these two genuinely didn't know, like, that they needed to have sex or probably how to have sex, had to go, okay. So from the top.
Yes. So
When two people love each other and
there's a class going on in second class today.
yeah, exactly. There's a class we underwrite. There might be a lot of kids there. They might be all grossed out, but you're grown adults. You'll tough through it.
You'll get the
You'll
picture.
get great advice. Yeah. Now she said this obviously was a few years ago, just because it was pre-internet days. So it wasn't like she could just like flop out her phone, went on to a local porn site and gone, "This you need to do this." Maybe not as vigorously and with a relative, but you need to do this in order to get pregnant. Like, you imagine, it would be a lot harder. But sure, yeah, I guess in the hospital they wouldn't just have these type of tapes lying around to explain to adults like that this is what you need to do in order to have babies.
It's just that's absolutely mind-boggling. Like,
Yeah. Now she also did say that there was another story of a man, and didn't go into too much, but they were in a client. She's basically taking them for clients. Obviously, they probably had a similar problem where they couldn't get pregnant and were looking for advice, and he started openly masturbating while they were talking about it.
while they were talking about
Yeah,
it.
while they're talking about in like possible options for getting pregnant.
Okay.
So he just took out and said, "Do you know what? I want to prove that I can get hard probably any time I want. This is definitely her problem." And just probably started masturbating, which he was has a sexual record anyway, but found a girl to settle down with, I guess, and put his hobby behind him, I guess. And yeah, anyway, but if you want to read her book that has that story in more detail, as well as the other one with people not knowing how to have sex, is the book is called Handle with Care: Confessions of an NHS Health Worker, and it's out now.
In all good book shops.
And even some bad ones. Yeah, so that's a free plug for her. Hopefully she's happy that the Shite podcast show.
Send us money.
Yes, please send. We'll take like a percentage, 0.5% of book sales. That's all
Yeah,
each.
nothing major. Like,
Don't need major. Yeah, so like I thought that was probably one of the more surprise. It probably is the most surprising story that we have this week, and probably one of the more surprising ones this year is up there with Donald Trump asking people to drink bleach. Quite frankly, but Australian police have also kind of maybe taken my breath away by this story when I read it, and that's a slight pun, I guess. Because they actually fined a man for letting out a fart in front of them. He got a €500 fine for doing this.
like, what? Yeah, why?
So the police took to Twitter in Austria to defend their actions, saying that he intentionally farted in their presence. So I don't know. First of all, when he first started talking about it, I was like, so he said he was on a park bench. He made eye contact with the police, lifted up his ass cheek, and farted in their direction. It was apparently very, very rude to the point where the police felt offended and needed that they had to punish this man by hitting him with a €500 fine.
I don't really see what the issue is.
So they had to go and put on effort. It's not an offence to fart while a police officer is around you, but the reason why they fined your man was because they felt that he was intentionally trying to fart in or at them as a way of some weird sort of protest. And the fact that he made eye contact with them while farting and pointed his ass towards at their direction was enough to um, actually fine him €500. Now they also said he wasn't very cooperative. Well, obviously, you're just hitting him with a €500 fine for farting. Of course, he wasn't going to be cooperative.
Like, I just think this whole thing's fucked.
Yeah, like it seems a bit odd. Of for like to be hit with, even if the police officer was talking to you and you felt a fart brewing and you're like, fuck this guy, or like putting their hands, like I kind of mind if they're arresting him and he had his hands behind his back and the officer's obviously behind him and he let a stinker out. I could, or maybe if they were patting him down so the head was at eye level and he farted. Like
But even then, is that
it's
really
very, yeah.
like? Hmm.
So
I think
apparently the legal term that they caught him with was offending public decency, which is apparently a €500 fine. It kind of is like, it's kind of like the uncare due and attention. You can kind of slap it on with anything, and it's just one of these like broad legal terms that if a police wants to fine you with something, it's very hard for you to defend, and it's very broad enough that whatever they're trying to fine you with, that it will fall under this is like offending public decency. So like that could literally, if you're sunbathing in a park and you had your top off, offending public decency.
yeah.
Like yeah, like maybe if you were in a football jersey and that football team is hooliganism or offending public decency, like it's kind of weird that like police have this power to like fine people for like very abstract reasons like that, like farting in front of their presence. Like surely like that should be stricken out.
Oh, like definitely. Like it probably. I'd imagine it would be in court.
Yeah. Now, like the only thing is, the your man probably will have to take time off work in order to go to fight this fine. But yeah, it's a lot. It's kind of enough money where if you were actually to fight it, like you more than likely get thrown out.
I think it's hilarious though.
Yeah. Now, like the story, they go in and they saying basically he had apparently behaved previously uncooperative to them, and during an encounter, the officers were letting one. He was fined for letting one rip. So obviously, he might have said something, or the police had to go over and deal with him. And then, while in their presence, he let one fire. But even still, even if they like I said, even if he had his hand, if he was being handcuffed and he let one fire, it would still be quite kind of odd that he'd be slapped a €500 fine for farting. Like I kind of understand maybe if they were searching him and one of the officers' heads were right beside his ass. Like I'd fully understand them possibly finding him dead.
It's still like it's just I don't know. It's a very strange one.
Yeah, it's a very, very strange story. Now, like, have you ever heard of anybody being fined for anything that's kind of like in the realm of something kind of, it seems quite like sad?
Not really.
No, like generally when people got fined, they kind of deserved it.
Yeah, like I can't think of anything that I know of where people have been fined for something like kind of.
Yeah, some odd. Yeah, so we'll move on. What? Okay. What about? losing stuff, something. What's the most expensive thing that you've lost?
I've lost. I can't think off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, like generally I am quite careless. Now I've kind of been lucky enough that like I've lost the odd wallet here and there, but generally I managed to get most of it back. I actually there was one story of a nice taxi driver who I wish I knew his name. I'd definitely give him a shout. But basically, I lost my wallet and I had over €100 in the wallet, and he dropped it back to my house.
Back to your house.
Yeah, he dropped it back to my house. Yeah, so like I thought that was quite nice. Yeah, obviously
You don't.
don't know.
You don't know his name.
No, unfortunately, I would have given him a shout out. But yeah, I thought it was very nice of him. But in terms of that, that may have like money out of a wallet that like I lost. I've like lost my wallet several times, and like a few times there's been like £100 or more in it, and like that's obviously been taken. But like other than that, it probably was the most expensive thing I've lost. But I've definitely known that I've lost it and went and tried to find it. A man in Switzerland back in October left £152,000 worth of gold on a train, and it still hasn't been claimed. So this kind of really bizarre turn of events like happened when Switzerland train operators found 3 kgs worth of gold left on the train that had a value of the £152,000, and basically they tried their best for 8 months to try to hunt down the guy who left it on the train, try to return his gold. They were unable to find the person, and for obvious reasons, they didn't want to like straight away put out in public like, okay, who lost this gold, because you're probably going to get a lot of people ringing in saying, oh, there's a chance in their arm that they'll get like that much gold.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna get like people all over the place going, yeah, it's
Yeah.
mine.
So after 8 months of like rigorous searching, they couldn't find out who owned it, and they couldn't determine like a proper way of possibly once a man does come forward in order to actually find out if he is or she generally the person who left £152,000 worth of gold on the train. So they've finally decided to go public and with it to see if anybody comes forward and try to see if this person. But this happened back in October. So
In October.
yeah, so if this article is up to date, well, it's at least 8 months anyway because of the length of time before they went public. So you imagine that if this happened in October, imagine losing that much gold and not realizing and not going forward, going, it's gone now.
Yeah, like, well.
Yeah, like
what can you do? Like?
yeah, like how do you go? Like if I like anything I lose, I'm like, oh my god, I need to find it, even if it is very like insignificant. I will go to the end of the earth to get that back.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's
Losing
not really a normal thing to just go, well. It's gone.
well, better luck next time. So they went public, but your man now has 5 years in order to claim his gold back before it's going to be probably handed over to state.
It's 5 years to claim it.
Yeah, like I imagine, like I definitely if I was the operator who found that, I go finders, losers, losers, keepers, or whatever the saying is. It's like I found that.
Finders, keepers, losers, weepers.
Yeah, that's the saying. I'd be like I found that legally belongs to me. If your man doesn't come forward, that's mine. But the authorities go, no, we have guns.
Yeah,
And
we will shoot you.
Yes, we will arrest you for farting.
Yeah, for
Yeah, exactly. We'll do it again. But yeah, I just thought that was absolutely really really odd that a man would leave. Like it works out in dollars as $191,000. Need $200,000, which for 3 kg of gold. My God, they obviously were like solid gold bars.
Yeah, that's mental. Like,
Yeah, that's hugely like for like 3 gold bars. That's outrageously expensive, but I guess gold obviously has a high value, and I think it's slightly higher now that the world's going into a recession because of its like value. It never dips below a certain value. It's always constant.
Wish they had a lot of gold.
Yeah. So Donald Trump has once again trying to cure or has an idea of at least getting the numbers down of the coronavirus, Ken.
Yeah, he came up with a new way, like absolutely foolproof way to stop the numbers for coronavirus like rising.
His batting average for ways to cure the coronavirus haven't been great.
No, like this is absolutely foolproof. There's like no way.
Oh, he's finally
that
like you always have to knock out a few bad ideas before the gem comes along, and that's what he's finally done. So, what is Donald Trump's new solution to the coronavirus?
So, in order to get the numbers to go down, you just don't test anybody.
Genius, absolutely genius. It has to be said. If you want your numbers to go down, just stop testing. Yeah, that'll definitely get your numbers to go down.
Yeah, definitely, like 100% numbers will go down.
So what he's planning on rolling back on testing in order to try to make his handling of the coronavirus probably that little bit better, considering that we're going into election season, is it?
I'd imagine that's what he's at. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, how much detail did you go into on the story?
Not very much.
All right. Is that the level of your detail that you went in on it?
Yeah, like there wasn't too much detail involved in the article that I read. Like it was just basically he said, "Yeah, this is our way that we're going to maybe stop
the numbers going down."
Stop the numbers going up just by let's just not test anybody.
And is he saying like what is the parameters of testing going to be in the US at all, or is this like we're just going to fully stop?
Just stop.
Just stop testing.
Yeah.
Like
it is foolproof.
Yeah, but like I imagine, like even if you are a Republican voter all your life, vote for every Republican either elected president or in running to be president, you always, no matter what, voted to Republican. Even now, you must be thinking like, there's absolutely no way in hell I can give this gobshite my vote. Like surely at this stage, after all the mishandling of every situation so far, that you're not still going, yeah, Team Trump.
Maybe you would. I don't know. Like you'd be surprised with people. Like
what is the? Have you seen any what is the popularity of Trump right now?
No, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
Have you?
No, not really. I know your man that's going against him isn't overly popular right now.
Like it's going to come down to who people hate less.
Yeah, because even what is it? Joe Biden is the guy that's
Biden. Yeah,
Biden is running against him. Like he have cognitive problems. He's there's few sexual assault allegations against him. Yeah, there isn't a whole lot there in order to inspire people, in order to go out and vote definitely Democrat for next. The only thing that is in his favor is that if you're against Donald Trump, he's not Donald Trump.
And I suppose if you were pro Obama, he was Obama's vice principal.
Yeah, vice president. Yeah, vice president. But but he wasn't Obama. That's the problem. He wasn't as charismatic as Obama. He wasn't basically the same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that was odd. He's like, yep, stop testing. Everybody won't die.
Yeah, stop testing and be grand.
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah, so that won't affect the numbers negatively. But even those protests, in California, there was, I think, 500,000 people took to the street to protest Black Lives Matter. 500,000 people walking together. Even if you're wearing a mask, the chances of that thing not spreading, and then if you look at places around California and around different parts of America, there has been increases cases of the coronavirus because of this. So everything's like just mixing. Like their shit healthcare, their shit president, their really uh, poor way of treating the coronavirus has it's just circulating. Like I'm surprised there isn't like the hospitals aren't overrun at this stage. So I have to like fair play to the like medical staff in hospitals right now. They're doing enough to obviously keep the hospitals like without getting overrun. But like my God, this is a perfect storm for America in terms of this pandemic.
Oh yeah, like it's mental.
Yeah, because like when you look online, everything seems to be reopening in the US. Like it seems like things are getting better, but if you look at the numbers, they're continuing to rise. Imagine if Ireland started to open everything back up as cases were starting to rise. They're like, people are like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, like I don't know. America's just like a different breed. So
Well, yeah, like a
like
lot.
Americans really, really, really don't like being told what to do.
Well, there is that, and there's also the thing where if your job didn't fire you and guarantee your income, basically government basically paid your income for your staff until the coronavirus was over, until the restriction started to be lifted here. The US tried to bring in something like that, but it actually wasn't actually as successful and it was harder to sign up for, and I think they ran out of money as well, or it wasn't it wasn't funded in the same way as the systems over in Europe was. There's huge problems with it over there, so people were becoming dependent on their jobs. So you can kind of understand when people are like, "What about people's jobs?" Well, the government should have come in and like given income support to people who are currently out of work.
Yeah,
So like it's not that hard. Realistically, all you have to do is copy what's working and go with that. Like you don't have to be like that intelligent to be a leader. You just go, oh, where is actually doing a good job with this? Okay, we'll do that and go along with that, and generally be all right.
well, I don't like America. Doesn't they prefer to be the one everybody's copying than the one doing the copying.
Yeah, because like I remember like people were talking about over here like how well our government did in order to eradicate coronavirus. Now I think the things that were implemented were brilliant, but like generally, I think all like the Fine Gael government did was listen to the experts, which is basically what you probably should do. And since he just did the bog standard thing that you probably should do in a pandemic, they look like heroes. And I think the reason they look like heroes is because look at the fucking clowns around us. The two biggest leaders that mainly get onto are like our news feeds are the English Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, the American president. Like you don't really hear unless there's something on fire over what happens over in France too much or Germany or
Yeah,
Italy. Like, but generally we'll have Sky News is broadcast all over Ireland, as well as like you can't go anywhere without hearing about Trump. So like compared to those two leaders, of course anyone that just does things by the book will look like an incredible politician.
like I think that's another thing. Like all the publicity kind of goes towards, oh look, here's what Trump is doing, here's what Boris is doing. Like very few people are actually paying attention to what's going on here.
Well, I think what people are looking. Well, what I see is lot of people are looking around to other countries because everywhere is opening up. Why aren't we open up? And like we realize we're in different cases to like the rest of Europe. Like they're like Italy basically had it like swarm all over their population, so they've probably less cases of it now because everyone is who got a has got sick and either recovered or died, and like it's just got out of the country that way. Whereas Ireland, not large, very large part of the population do not have it, have not contracted it, and that means that it could still spread through the community.
Yeah, like you know, there was a large portion of people here that were like, "Oh, why don't we just do what
Sweden.
Sweden. Yeah, Sweden were doing. And then Sweden came out and were like,
We fucked up.
we fucked up.
Yeah, now in fairness to Sweden, I know a lot of people in Sweden still self-isolate anyway, but they didn't make it a rule. But people quite naturally seeing what rest probably Europe were doing and weren't making unnecessary journeys. We're trying to keep social distancing. We're kind of doing the key steps. Just pubs and bars probably stayed open. But even still with kind of the knowledge of what you need to do during this pandemic, like people in Sweden weren't walking around like kissing each other in the face, like shaking hands, high fiving, doing jiu-jitsu. Like they weren't doing these things. All they were doing were like going to coffee shops, restaurants, and doing social gatherings like that. And even still, you had like a massive grouping of like people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is mad. Like, it does seem like it is nice to see stuff starting to get back to normal here, and like it's seeming to die out. Now we have seen in New Zealand new cases, so we can't say we're out of the woods yet. And anytime you let your guard down, it's when this thing will start back going for us. So I do think we're probably gonna have to live with it for a while. It's just probably gonna be like, oh, there's been another outbreak of coronavirus this week. And then we're gonna have to just like close down certain things, or there's gonna be certain restrictions because of possibility of a coronavirus outbreak happening.
Yeah, like it's not finished yet anyway. It's going to be going for a while.
I'm wondering when this gets to October, November, and people start getting colds and coughs anyway, like flu season starts to come back in, how people are going to differentiate between a cold and a cough, and like a cold or the coronavirus or the flu or the coronavirus.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll probably leave that for another show on another day because we've reached our hour of our podcast. We didn't even get our Metallica story in. It's just basically...
We didn't even get our Metallica story,
You know, guess what? It's just that they're writing a new album over Zoom.
Yeah, they're using Zoom to write a new album.
Yeah, I wonder like if they can mute who's the administrator of that, who can possibly mute people of the band. Oh, Lars, shut the fuck up. Yeah. So anyway, we'll leave it there for the next show. And we'll if we get another chance,
we'll have them on.
Yeah, we'll have Metallica on. That's the Shite Talk promise. We'll have Metallica on. Until then, I guess we'll talk to our listeners back next Thursday. See you then.
Yeah. Good luck.
Shut up and sit down.